So once again, confirmation that current Guy Mikaku is still an absolute beast, able to challenge current Oma. We've finally found Ryuki, and then Mikaku gives up on his fight with Oma and proceeds to reveal everything about the worm Shen Wulong. Let's get into it, of course, subscribe. So we get it confirmed that Wo Wang originated from the worm, as the leader of Wo Wang, which is confirmed not to be Guy Mikaku, was an aide of the head of the worm at the time, and from his orders he was sent to form this pretty much commando unit to take out people who were opposing worms. That's where Guy Mikaku along with 4 others ended up joining, with Fukaku not being part of the worm prior to joining this group, who was technically part of the worm as like a sub-faction, but wasn't really associated with the main part of Worm, particularly Guy Mikaku himself. With that now being the truth regarding Guy Mikaku's flashback, following that, that's where the leader of his group decided to have more ambitions to pretty much overthrow the worm, believing that he's more powerful than them. As such, it's time to take out the head of the worm and the person above the head, the connector Shen Wulong. As we know, Shen Wulong prior to this was thought to be kinda immortal. Shen really came out of nowhere. Early days in Kengan Omega, we were aware of Edward Wu and the Tiger Nico being top level worm members, and that them two are working with the head, Yan. And then when we got Yan's official reveal, we also got the connector. From there, it was revealed that Shen is actually above Yan and the person who actually appointed him as the head of the worm. Pretty much Mikaku drops all the lore about him this chapter, which is very interesting stuff. So there was a legend surrounding him about him potentially being immortal, with the possibility being that this was most likely due to all of his descendants having the same name, Shen Wulong, being viewed as some type of sage, giving me similar vibes to how Mikaku explains it here to the Sage of the Six Paths from Naruto and how he was portrayed as all powerful, stuff like that. And then we get something absolutely crazy revealed. If you remember the first chapter of Kengan Omega, chapter 0, we got this panel of someone who seems to look like Oma or Ryuki fighting someone with a worm mask. We learn what this actually was. So 1300 years ago, the connector declared war on the worm. So the guy in the mask is the head of the worm 1300 years ago, and this person is Shen Wulong, the connector, potentially a descendant of the original, or as is explored shortly, a clone. Yes, clones are once again returning. The connector defeated him, took control of the worm, also pretty much had a war against the Wu clan, which he eventually defeated and took over. Which brings us to the current Shen Wulong, who is revealed by Mikaku to be a clone of the predecessor, meaning the whole purpose of the worm's cloning research is in order to make the perfect connector with this cloning, which could mean the current connector is the strongest version of the connector we've seen so far, as the term perfect most likely refers to strength, or more so in line with the power of the original, potentially the one that was viewed as this sage-like creature. It also could mean the Shen Wulong that Metsudo and Irio saw in their flashback may not be the current one, just the predecessor that the current connector was actually cloned of, or something along the lines of that. Regardless of all this, he's most likely being able to maintain his power and progressively gotten stronger over time. And we get to see this actually demonstrated against a young, pretty much Mikaku, who with the 4 other kings decided to actually try and kill the connector, creating the advance in the process. As such, it's now confirmed that the creator of the advance were the members of Wo Wang, and that the Tiger Nico was pretty much lying about the origins of it. However, it's also pretty much confirmed that he's developed it even more since pretty much learning the technique in the forest that we saw in the Nico flashback a few chapters ago, which is once again more so demonstrated with the existence of Divine Demon that Faye used. Regardless, all 5 of them pull up on the connector with weapons, they pull out the advance. The connector is unarmed and pretty much low diffs all of them, killing all but Mikaku, who we don't know how but was able to survive, with this of course looking very similar to current Garuki, which brings us to his role in the story currently. But before that, Our boy Shen is, I guess, even stronger than we already thought. Most of the fandom already without a doubt placed him at the number 1 position, tier 1. But now we just need to place him like a few tiers above the ones below him, as he's pretty much monstrous. There's no way any character will be able to take him out in a one-on-one, especially if the current Shen Wulong is even stronger through the process of cloning, which is kinda also represented with the existence of Gilbert, who is stronger than the likes of Edward. Shen Wulong has been doing this much longer and is most likely far beyond the version that destroyed a young Guy Mikaku and all of his boys pulling out the advance. Now the truth about Ruki, pretty much Mikaku attacked a worm cloning facility, destroyed it and stole Ruki, and apparently since stealing Ruki there hasn't been a successful cloning, meaning the person who's meant to be the next connector is of course Ruki himself, which is pretty much already revealed back in the Purgatory tournament by Naden, referring to him as the connector for the first time, the last child, all that stuff. Ruki seems to be the only one who can be the new Shen Wulong. Regardless of Oma also being a clone of him, it doesn't seem like he has a role as being the connector, as maybe he's not viewed as perfect or the next closest thing to perfect, while Ruki may actually be, for whatever reason, we don't exactly know why. Or it could just be that Ruki is a more recent clone, meaning they want him to be the replacement more so, or the person Shen Wulong may put his consciousness into most likely. And now if we bring it back to Mikaku's goal, which was revealed a few chapters ago, he wants to kill the connector, most likely for revenge what happened to all of his boys, and he's pretty much been using Ruki as bait to get his dream accomplished, even conducting a Gu ritual on the people who couldn't become a Tokita Nico. So Mikaku has been dead set on this revenge mindset, doesn't care what he has to do to get it, and pretty much that's what he wants. So once again, I'm expecting him to actually fight Shen Wulong during this arc, but die in the process, with Koga actually getting enraged and starting to try and fight Mikaku, which probably won't end well for him and will result in Oma to step in again. Then my prediction is of course the worm to show up, and then we have a whole big worm battle with Mikaku getting his chance for revenge, and maybe Oma having his battle with the Tiger Nico or something along the lines of that. I think Gilbert would have actually left by that point and the other Wu Clan members, and then we could have Retsuda and all the others fighting Yarn or something along the lines of that. We also have Kiryu who could potentially show up, but that's what I think is going to happen next. Mikaku has revealed pretty much everything you want to know at this point, so I'm guessing we're just going to have fighting from here, which is going to be absolute hype. But that's everything for today's video guys, I hope you enjoyed. Check out all the other stuff in the description if you haven't already. Kangen has been Peak, I hope you enjoyed. That's it guys, peace.